This is Ethan, and I'm here with Dave, and together we are Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 207-inch.
On this episode, we wrap up our interview with Dan Butts, production designer for Weird the Al Yankovic Story, as we cover everything else and more from the film.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
It's a podcast about Weird Al.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Seriously, the whole podcast is about Weird
It's
Al.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
You don't have to listen, but we're glad you are.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 207-inch.
Yes, and if you take out the 0, it's 27!
Yep. Well, with all that riveting small talk out of the way, let's dive right into what's happening in Weird Al related news.
Last Friday's episode of Jeopardy featured an entire category called Weird Al Parodies.
Now, it's always great to see a category based around Al. And if this trend keeps up, it won't be long before they feature an entire Jeopardy game based on Weird Al.
We're happy to put the folks over at Jeopardy in touch with our close personal friends J.W. Halford and U.H. Jeff Nucera if they need a host and someone to come up with some additional Weird Al-related trivia questions.
Now, although the questions weren't quite as tough as the Weird Al VIP Jeopardy questions were, the contestants collectively aced the entire category.
If you wish to try your skills, Weird Al did share a clip over on his social media.
And if you don't find them quite as easy as we did, well, I'm sure you'll do better next weekend on The Price is Right.
David Zucker, Jim Abrahams, and Jerry Zucker have released an audiobook.
An audiobook? What is it?
It's a recording of a book or other work being read out loud, but that's not important right now.
The filmmakers teamed up with a cast of celebrities and industry figures to chronicle the making of the influential Airplane movie.
Weird Al is among the special guests to lend their voice to the project, along with Bill Hader, Molly Shannon, Sarah Silverman, Patton Oswalt, original Airplane cast members, and many more.
Be sure to pick up the audiobook, Surely You Can't Be Serious, The True Story of Airplane, now wherever you buy fine audiobooks.
Or if you really don't want to hear Weird Al and the others read it, you can just buy the book version and read it yourself. Oh, and don't call me Shirley.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Now here's a reminder, this Saturday, October 7th, Weird Al talks with Andy Borowitz as part of the New Yorker Festival in New York City.
The event is happening at 5:30 p.m. burrito time at Webster Hall.
If you plan on going, you better get there early, as seating at the event is first come, first served, and doors open approximately 45 minutes before it starts.
And those with early entry tickets are allowed to enter approximately 15 minutes before the general admission ticket holders have access. So you want to keep that in mind if you have an early entry ticket.
Both Dave and I will be there, so please stop by, say hello, and yes, we'll have wooden nickels!
Oh, and if you signed up for a New Yorker trial subscription solely with the intention of getting tickets to this event, and you don't intend to continue with the subscription, this is your reminder to go cancel it before you are charged again.
Dave, as fate would have it, I was blessed with the opportunity this past weekend to eat at the establishment at which this episode is brought to you in part by, yes, Wizard Burger and Burrito in Albany, New York. Come on down to Burrito and Wizard Burger for mouthwatering loaded, dare I say, beefy vegan burgers. From Albany to Uranus, Burrito and Wizard Burger feed the hungry with out-of-this-world plant-based real food, always vegan style. Visit burritosquare.com and wizardburger.com to order ahead.
Nice, I bet it was delicious. What did you order?
Well, I got the Roswell burrito, but I added buffalo chicken and jalapenos.
Roswell burrito. I hope they used plant-based aliens.
And now it's time for what's happening in other podcasts that are not Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast related news.
Our very own Ethan Ullman is a guest on an upcoming episode of the incredibly popular podcast, Normal Gossip.
Well, technically, Dave, I'm on one of their subscriber-only episodes, so only their paid supporters will get to hear the episode.
Well, what can you tell us about the podcast, Ethan?
In their main podcast, they have a guest each episode who joins host Kelsey McKinney as she shares a juicy piece of listener-submitted gossip. For the special subscriber-only episode that I'm on, they actually flip the script, and instead I tell them a piece of gossip.
Oh, I want to hear. Is it Weird Al related?
Now, while the bulk of the episode has nothing to do with Weird Al, gasp, I know, we do briefly talk about Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, and I even share a piece of mini Weird Al fandom gossip.
Oh, wow. I hope it's not about me.
Well,
anyway, how can I listen?
The subscriber-only episode is set to drop on Friday, October 6th, and unfortunately for cheapskates, it's only available if you support Normal Gossip over at supportnormalgossip.com.
Oh, that all sounds great, and I'm definitely going to give them as much money as possible, as soon as possible, but what can I expect?
Well, good question, Dave. Now, I'm actually a big fan of their podcast, and I highly recommend checking them out if you're okay with spicy language from time to time, and enjoy gossip stories that are sometimes cringy, stressful, or frustrating, but always hilarious.
I think it's safe to assume your episode has NSFW language, that is, naturally spicy, family-unfriendly words?
Yes, NSFW, as long as you count family-unfriendly as one word.
And now it's time for what's happening in celebrity gossip that TMZ totally should have covered, related news.
Over the weekend, Questlove held his third legendary game night, and none other than Weird Al was in attendance.
According to photos Weird Al was tagged in on Instagram, in addition to partaking in games of Jenga and Uno, he was also drinking from, get this, a red Solo cup.
A red Solo cup? Is that similar to the cups he drinks out of and throws at the audience or directly at you when he performs Smells Like Nirvana?
It is exactly like that, except this one was marked in black Sharpie, in all caps, AL, and had a lime on the rim.
Our sources have yet to confirm just how high the Jenga tower got, if in fact Al was drinking one of his famous Yankaritas, or if Al plans to throw limes at future audience members.
On behalf of Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, we'd like to share the following message in advance of our interview with Weird Al Yankovic Story production designer Dan Butts amid the current Hollywood strikes.
We have not been contacted by Roku or by anyone requesting promotion of the film Weird Al Yankovic Story of any kind. We want to state that while we are discussing the film Weird Al Yankovic Story, we are in no way promoting the film nor showing support for film studios that do not support the actors currently on strike.
The intention of this podcast is to create an entertaining archive of information about Weird Al and his career, life, and supporters for both entertainment and informational purposes. Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast supports SAG, AFTRA, and all creatives in the film industry and beyond.
This interview with Dan Butts has been amazing so far, and we're getting close to the end, but there's still so much more great content to go. So let's dive right into the final part of our interview with Dan Butts, already in progress. We come next to the infamous diner scene.
And a little insider information here. The chef who gets, or cook who gets his head smashed in the waffle iron there. And that is the same actor that Ethan and I interacted with back in the bar scene. His name is Thomas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just remember we were, between takes, he's like telling us how he's going to record some more stuff. And he's like, yeah, I get my face smashed in a waffle iron. And Dave and I are like, what is this movie?
Yeah.
Because we don't know what's going on. We don't know the script at that point.
Right. What's great about that was kind of the genius of Eric Appel. Because the first time we scouted the restaurant, we were kind of going through and we were kind of talking about like, someone could come out of here and do this. And the waffle iron was just there. And he's like, oh my God, it'd be so funny if he just smashed his head into that. And we're like, me and the prop guy are like, oh, okay, how do we do that safely?
Oh, it's so great.
Yeah. You got to use what's there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, so coming out of the diner scene, we finally get to go to Colombia for Pablo Escobar.
Sure. Like you do. Pretty normal transition.
And you'd already told us this is the same Hey Boy, just kind of dressed up differently.
Yeah. Yes. I think it was a slightly older, bigger Hey Boy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was the more adult Hey Boy at that point, I believe.
Very cool.
And is this a set with all the trees and stuff, or did you guys actually find a foresty area?
No, we actually, that is a part of Warner Brothers backlot.
Okay.
Maybe one of our most expensive sets.
No way.
Well, it's so hard to like find, an area that's dense enough that can kind of double as a, Colombian jungle. Not that we're saying it's Colombia. It could be any country. We wanted to make sure it was not. We never actually said Colombia.
Okay.
Just because we felt like Colombia had been through enough, and it's a great country, and just thought it would be best that way. But to have a jungle that dense and stuff, it just Warner Brothers worked out so great for that. So I think we did half the day there, and then the other half the day we did at the restaurant, I think.
Oh.
Which is so crazy because most movies, like, they would have spent at least a day in the jungle. But we were like, let's get it and then get out of here for a next scene.
Wow.
It was great because we were so used to, using like our scrappy locations wherever we could. And then we all got kind of spoiled when we're like, oh, we're going to Warner Brothers today. It's like, it's just like logistically and geographically, it ended up working out best. But I'm sure the producers weren't super happy about it because I know it was a lot of money.
But it looks great.
Okay. It does.
That's what
it
matters.
worked out really well.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we move inside for Pablo's birthday party. Where was this one shot?
Escobar's lair was also shot on this crazy campus. They had this big warehouse. I don't even know what the warehouse was for, but like for the school originally. But it was big and had stairs, and it just seemed pretty great for us. So we brought a bunch of stuff there, made a bunch of crates. I'm pretty sure I did some number 27 crates in there as well.
Yeah, you definitely can see one right behind Madonna where she's tied up.
Okay, good. And yeah, that was a very, very fun scene. We had people wrapping fake cocaine for weeks, getting ready for that. We went to rent all the fake bricks of cocaine you could, and realized, oh my God, we are going to need so much more.
Man.
So that became a big part of our prop budget was just the amount of cocaine. Cocaine's expensive, it turns out.
Would it have been cheaper just to buy real cocaine at that point?
Yeah, maybe. That's what we used to do in my 80s videos days.
Well, there's also like wrapped up money, and does that just come from a prop house that just have that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
They do.
I just think it's funny that there's a place where you can go and just rent wrapped up cocaine.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty funny.
Yeah. Hollywood is a wacky place, you guys. Yeah, it is very strange.
That would be a good cover for, like, if you actually wanted to sell cocaine, though. Like, it's just movie props.
Yeah.
Really expensive movie props.
Yeah. Those scenes were nuts because, as you know, like the whole place gets shot up and cocaine and money are flying everywhere. So after every take, you have to like kind of go back and reset everything the exact way it was very fast. So that became very tricky, but it was fun. I know the actor too that was playing Pablo. When he first came, he had this look on his face like, what am I doing? Like, what is this?
He's like, this is the Weird Al movie, right? Am I in the right place?
It was really funny. He looked a little nervous in the beginning, but he did such a great job.
Yeah, Arturo Castro.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, Arturo. Yeah.
Man, so funny.
He was definitely a standout for sure. He was great in the movie.
Yeah.
I would love to hear about, did the script call for sort of a for lack of a better words, like kind of lame party decorations, which I think are hilarious. Or was that a budget thing?
No, it's funny that you said that because I wanted to go way bigger on that. I still think it's hilarious that there's a mariachi band in Colombia.
Yes.
Even though there are no mariachis in Colombia. But no, that was a Eric thing. He was like, I think it should just be super crap decorations. like like he did it himself.
Right.
Like Pablo was like,
Yes.
I'm going to decorate for my birthday. And it should be kids stuff and just kind of ridiculous. So yeah, that was all Eric.
Crappy cake, like 5 balloons,
Yeah.
the crappy banner. I love it.
Yeah.
This guy's got millions of dollars in there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so great.
Yeah. Very funny.
So not too long after this scene, we get to finally, we don't get to see what they make, but we do get to see the factory.
Yeah. The factory was a good find. Also part of this this vast campus that we used. I think it's randomly like the power plant or something for the campus. So it had kind of a bunch of like already kind of great machinery and stuff and pipes. We brought in a couple extra pieces just to kind of add to that, and then had our effects team, Jonathan Combrink and his team do a bunch of sparks and things, which we thought would add a lot.
When Al's punching in with his punch card, there's already a punch card there that says Oscar Flores, and if you watch the credits of the film, there's also someone named Oscar Flores who's the second assistant director.
Yes.
Why was his name chosen?
It's not uncommon for us to win something where like you need other people. We just use crew names. Also, because legally you don't get in trouble. So, we could say, yeah, no, Oscar here agreed to have his name on that. I actually thought I thought Eric had a time card there as well, but
Not that is visible.
no.
Yeah,
Right.
if it's there, it didn't make it into on the screen.
Yeah.
At least visible. Now, what about like the machine that Daniel's standing at and pushing levers and twisting things around? Is that something you had to find?
Yes, we found like the bones of that, and then I added a couple other like things to twist and other levers onto it, and then we added the lights and made those practical. It's funny because you don't see it, but I think there's like 3 different people like below Daniel, like working on different things, like making the light go off, making something else happen. I think it was also on wheels too, so we had to like kind of shore it up so it didn't like move every time he did something with it. But
I do want to point out a bit of a continuity error. If you will allow me to. Now, for Al's actual time card, his name is written not like Al would write his name. And we did already see his handwriting back in...
with the envelope?
With the envelope. And that looks like
Yeah.
Al's actual handwriting. This one, maybe it's just fame got to him and just affected him down to his core, even to his handwriting.
He was so upset to have to go to work at that factory that it kind of it definitely affected his motor skills and handwriting for sure. Yeah, that's just how deep we go. We were like, we want to show his damage through his penmanship. And I'm glad you caught it. That's great.
So we go back to the parents' house, and that's where we see Mom, who has gained some weight, and we also get to see the sketchbook, and we go into the Amish stuff. Were you part of the team who put that sketchbook, the physical prop, together?
Yeah, we were. Our aforementioned illustrator, Jenny, she did all the art for that. So the same pen that made Skunk Barf logo also did the incredibly beautiful scrapbook. What's amazing is usually, we do those things. We'll like, as a jumping off point, and then the visual effects company and the animators will kind of go with it and go in their own direction. But it was awesome in that they took her actual drawings and those became the animation. Like it was a really great match that they did. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad that worked out, because she did such a great job, and it was a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know if there were more than just, we only see like 1 or 2 pages. Did she do beyond that?
She did. In fact, I remember there was a couple other drawings based on notes in the script that I think just didn't end up getting shot, that were great.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What a great attention to detail.
Yeah, that was a fun bit. I'm just so glad. A lot of times you do so much work for things like that, and then like I said, like the animators will be like, "Oh, we got it. Don't worry about it." And they won't use any of it. But this was such a great collaboration that they used everything for the most part she did and just expanded on it. So
cool. So we get to the Amish scene, which we already talked about with the barn frame and all that.
Yeah, that was just that was like my big nod back to the video, which I unfortunately didn't get to do. But yeah, I figured fans would like that. Like, oh, that's the piece that falls on them.
Right.
I think we added some other bits too, like a wagon wheel and
You're
some
right.
other like kind of Amishy things to kind of help populate the stage.
Yeah.
And kind of during that scene, we cut to like a control room. Do you know where that was shot?
Yeah, we actually shot that just right in our little backstage area.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I'm bummed because that Eric, I think originally said like, oh, you could be at the controls with me, but whatever wardrobe I was wearing that day didn't really fit.
Oh
And
man.
so our first AD did it. But she was great. But it was fun that Eric got to get in there as well. But yeah, I found that piece, that kind of huge controller, also at that History for Hire prop house.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, which was great. So we just kind of brought that in and kind of used the real backstage of the theater, which already looked pretty amazing. And then we dressed that up a little, and then that became that little bit.
And so the person with Eric, who is, and that is, by the way, Eric at the controls, and then of course Emily Newman was the first assistant director there. And so this was all the same place where you filmed the stadium stuff and that backstage stuff.
Yeah. We used the same theater for all the concert footage, and for the Grammys.
Yeah, it looks so great. We go backstage and we see Al and the band, and then Al and Demento, and that's all just that same spot.
Yeah, it's actually the other side of that same stage. So we did the controller part with Eric and Emily on one side, and then did the backstage area for the other side. And then later I would redress that and add like a step and repeat thing to make it the backstage of the Grammys.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And can you tell us about, there's a really cool design with, everything related to the Grammys or whatever it is in this universe. I know you probably couldn't get clearance on saying Grammys in the film.
Yeah, correct. So, we kind of came up, we based it on, now I can't remember the actual Grammys. It might have been, was it 84, 85? We based it on a certain year of the Grammys.
I think the year he won for Eat It. Am I right, Dave?
Right, yeah.
Because like the Hulk Hogan thing was an actual thing that happened. that was real. So we kind of based the set a little bit on that, and then visual effects did like a set extension to kind of make it look bigger and grander.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was never super happy with the actual award itself. I thought that should have looked a little more serious, but it costs so much money to have like a specialty prop like that made. It just wasn't in our budget, which is a bummer, because I don't know. I felt like that should have had more, weight to it, like literally and figuratively. Like,
okay.
But hopefully the fans will forgive us.
Well, I don't have an issue with it. I think it looks great. I think it's cool. I think it's
No, it looks
I think kind of in universe is kind of silly that it's a little bizarre looking like that. I think that's part of the humor of it.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
And obviously it's a reference to no, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. An interview that Al gave at a Spokane radio station where he mentioned, we go deep.
Yeah, that's great. Well, so Al gets shot. Al pees his pants.
Wait, what? Oh, I've never seen the movie. What happens?
And then we go into all these great kind of photoshopped photos of Al.
Yeah, and it's funny because they did all that later in post. So that was so fun for us to see that, because it was kind of the first time we all saw it was at a screening.
Yeah.
So awesome.
And of course we are treated to an extra scene during the credits, and that's Madonna visiting Al's grave, and Al's zombified hand reaches out in front of this awesome gravestone. What can you tell us about this scene?
Oh, that gravestone's great.
Yeah, the gravestone we had made. We had a lot of talk about what it should say. I'm trying to think who came up. I wish I could say I came up with it, but I didn't. It was either Eric or Al.
Yeah.
I think it was Eric, but Al loved it. And that is the prop that Al took with him.
Right.
I said, where do you want this, sir? And he was like, can you just put it in the back of the car? I was like, I absolutely can. And he took it home and he set it up. He set it up in his backyard and did not tell his wife or daughter. He's like, I'm just gonna wait until they discover it. So I was told that it wasn't too much longer that they were like, what is this?
And so how heavy is that? Is it like made out of foam?
It's not. Yeah, it's not heavy at all. It's wood and foam.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know how long it's not gonna hold up great, I think, outside, but
right.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully Al has it inside and protected, because it's so great.
Yeah. It is. It's a pretty awesome piece.
Oh yeah.
Now, were you on set when they filmed this scene?
I was. Yeah. It actually it looks like a very simple scene, but it was very tricky because we actually dug a massive hole at the location, which unbelievably they let us do, which is pretty uncommon. Be like, we're gonna dig a 4x4 hole here to stick a human in here. But that's it's kind of exactly what we did.
So who was the person whose hand pops out, and B, what is the situation? Are they underground in like a box with breathing tubes, or how does that work?
It was just kind of a reinforced hole. Like, I think we put wood and stuff down there so they could be safe. And then we had just like a wood top that we would put in at the end, but it had like a big hole, and then we had like sod over that, but then we would score the sod so the hand could kind of come out. And it was our line producer, Zach, that actually was down there. It was his arm. And just randomly early on, he was like, I want to be the hand. And we're like, oh, okay. Yeah. Yes, sir, boss. But it was better him than me. I'm not a fan of like tight enclosed spaces, but he dug it. I think he performed very well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I want to have his hand on our show, Dave. We should interview Zach's hand.
Yeah. Oh, he'll talk for hours about it. No, I'm just kidding. Who else are you wanting to talk to from the crew, or
Everyone.
Is this it? Was I the last one?
When the credits roll by, every single name that's in there, that's who we're hoping to talk to.
It's a few folks.
Yeah.
We've got 2,000 episodes that we need to record, so we've got to go pretty deep here.
Y'all have done a lot of episodes. Very impressive.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
great.
certainly a bunch of them are now Dan Butt's episodes, which
Yes.
we're very excited about. Thank you for going scene by scene with us through Weird. I mean, what an undertaking that film was, and so many incredible, great stories that you've shared with us.
Yeah, it was so much fun. I hope that somehow out there we can do even another one. Weird 2. Let's put it out to the universe right now.
Weird 2 is
even weirder. Sorry.
Return of the Bikers. It's
Yeah.
just about
There you
right.
go. I'm sure you've got a spin-off series in your future.
I hope so. I mean, they did Suicide Squad, and then they did the spin-off with Peacemaker. I feel like we're the natural spin-off candidates from this film.
Oh yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Oh man.
I hate to go back in time a little bit, but there's one thing you did with Al that we skipped over, and that is Al directed the music video for Rocking the Suburbs by Ben Folds, and I think we skipped over that in our haste to cover the 5,000 other things you've done with Al. So I just wanted to give you an opportunity if there's anything you wanted to say about that or anything in particular you remember from that.
I just remember, like, once again, like how crazy organized Al was as a director, and like he would come up with these great like sight gags and trippy things to do in camera that we did with Ben, and it I don't know, I feel like a lot of people forget like what a great actual musician Al is. They focus on the comedy and stuff, but
Right.
he really is an incredible musician, and he knows that world very well. So someone like Ben Folds, like, he had so much respect for Al, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. I was actually a fan of Ben Folds and became even more of a fan. I remember early on in our prep, Al was like, well, why don't we meet to talk over some stuff? And we met while Ben was rehearsing for his upcoming tour. And so it was so great to just be able to sit in on this band rehearsal. That
Wow.
it was very cool. And then later, I think Al was there, or maybe he just got me tickets, but we were both at the same concert when Ben performed in LA. So
Great.
But yeah, it was
So cool.
it was a lot of fun.
One of the weirder things in the video that I suspect maybe you had something to do with creating was when Ben is playing the piano with really long arms. Did you create those arms?
We did, and it's so funny because I watched that video again recently, and I was trying to remember how the hell we even did that. I think most of it was like the camera like pulled back, and I think we had something like expanding in his sleeve or something that like created the arms. But yeah, I remember that was a wacky ask of that video. There's got to be something, I mean, Al's directing.
Right.
Al made it in that video as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's a great video. I mean, it's very obviously a Weird Al video. There's a lot of parody in it. There's a lot of humor, and it's great. And so you got that gig through Al, it sounds like.
Yeah, we had because we were together. He was like, he brought me on that, and then I think by that time our producer finally understood who Weird Al Yankovic was. Since she had no idea before. I remember, it's funny, the first time my mom met Al as well, because Al, if it didn't conflict with Drew Carey, he would come to my house for my birthday. And I remember my mom was there one time, and it was funny because all the other people at the party it was just like some close friends, and they were all kind of tripping out that Al was there. And Al goes up and introduces himself to my mom, and my mom was like, "Hal? Did you say your name's Hal?" And the whole party is like, everywhere. I'm just like, I just dropped my head and I'm shaking my head like, come on, Mom. You watched his videos with me in the 80s. Like, it's not Hal. It's so embarrassing. She was never brought back to a birthday party.
She started going to Drew Carey's too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh man, that's
yeah.
great. Has Al met any other members of your family?
I think he might have met my sister at one point, but and then he knows my wife and daughter.
Yeah.
Now. But yeah, it was funny. I remember, I think probably the first party of mine he came to, before I was married, I used to have kind of some crazy parties at my house, and he showed up one year and he was just kind of sitting by himself in the corner, and this woman at the party came up to me, who's very very young, very attractive. She's like, "Who's the guy that thinks he's Weird Al in the corner?" And I go, that's Al Yankovic. And then I came back like 4 minutes later, and she's like right next to him, talking him up. I was like, that's how that works.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a great story.
Ridiculous.
Oh, so great. Dan, this has been an epic interview because of the content, but also how long it is. So we really appreciate you taking all this amazing time to walk us through your career with Al. And this has just been so much fun. And we really hope we have you on for another 15 hours sometime.
Yeah, it was really great. Thank you so much for doing it. I mean, I'm assuming you're going to edit it down and it'll be like 2.5 minutes by the end, which is just fine. Probably smart. Don't let the art guy babble on. This will be the new rule. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show. I love it.
A humongous thanks to Dan Butts for this epic interview that went way deeper than any of us first imagined. For more information, as well as clips of Dan's work, check out his website over at danbuttsdesign.com.
This episode is brought to you in part by Discover Darwin, promoting tourism in Darwin, Minnesota. Not only is historic Darwin, Minnesota beautiful, it's also vehicle-friendly.
Now, anyone who owns a vehicle knows that driving can be pretty stressful.
Oh, yeah. There are literally dozens of things you need to pay attention to. Other drivers, traffic signals, road conditions, pedestrians.
Yeah, that's only 4 things.
So?
You said literally dozens?
Well, regardless, one of the most stressful things about driving is having to find easy and convenient, and if you're a cheapskate, free parking.
And unless you're someone who always frequents establishments with valet parking, it's safe to say you have to find parking all by yourself on your own.
Ugh, just thinking about it gives me heartburn.
Well, don't worry, my fine friend. Darwin, Minnesota has plenty of parking available.
Well, if that alone isn't reason enough to visit, I don't know what is.
So visit Darwin, Minnesota on your next sanctioned parking expedition. Discover Darwin more than just a twine ball. And after you visit Darwin, Minnesota, be sure to attempt to visit discoverdarwin.biz.
Dave and Ethan's 2,000-inch Weird Al podcast is brought to you absolutely free thanks to incredible sponsors Burrito, Wizard Burger, Jackson Scoggins, and Discover Darwin. Our podcast is also supported by everyone else in our Patreon family, with special thanks to our amazing close personal friend level Patreon supporters. Zeb, Matt, Kenneth, Allison, Ajax, Blair, Kev, Ron, Scotto, Gus and Alicia, Zach, Dana B, UH Jeff, Adriana, Jake, Javier, and also thanks to Trevor Son and everyone else in our pretty stinking majestic Patreon family.
If you enjoy our family-friendly Weird Al podcast, please consider supporting us over at patreon.com/2000inch. There are awesome benefits like getting your name on the podcast, your very own private RSS feed, which gives you early access to each and every one of our bonus episodes, and the self-satisfaction of doing something important with your otherwise pitiful, meaningless existence.
And now would be a good time to join if you haven't already, because you'll be the very first to hear each and every one of our remaining brand new, ridiculously self-indulgent bonus episodes the instant that they drop. And don't forget to check out our official merchandise over at shop.2000inch.com. All proceeds from purchases go directly towards supporting this fine podcast.
We love hearing from our listeners and other Weird Al fans, so make sure you join our Facebook community over at group.2000inch.com, and remember to visit our Discord server for even more riveting Weird Al and Red Rump the Goody related conversations. You can find both of them linked on our website, as well as information about past episodes and past guests over at 2000inch.com or weirdalpodcast.com.
And while you're there, click on Ridiculously Self-Indulgent bonus episodes to follow along with our adventures on tour. Or click on Black and White and Weird All Over bonus episodes for our special series where author John Bermuda Schwartz walks us through his first book page by page and picture by picture.
Keep up on new episodes, podcast news, and events by following at 2000inch on Facebook, X, and Instagram. And be sure to subscribe everywhere you listen to podcasts so you do not miss a single episode. Not only does subscribing help the podcast, it gives your finger a nice little brief workout. Plus, we also love it when we receive voicemail via our official patent-pending 27-hour-a-day podcast hotline, 347 Spatula, as seen in the 2023 Ringo Award-winning graphic novel, The Illustrated Al, The Songs of Weird Al Yankovic. That number is 347-772-8852. Put it in your phone, give it a call, and you might even hear your message in a future episode.
Thank you once again to our guest, Dan Butts, for joining us this episode and the past 4 inches for our first 5-part interview. Thank you to Heather Malone, Jerry Zucker, Jim Abrahams, David Zucker, Kelsey McKinney, Alex Sujong Laughlin, and Jay Tal Vieira. Thank you to the Grammy Award-winning Jim Kimo West for our incredible podcast theme song, and thank you to the Emmy-nominated Weird Al Yankovic, as this podcast probably would not exist without him. And a big thanks to all of you, our loyal listeners, subscribers, Patreon supporters, and sponsors, and everyone else who makes our podcast possible.
Thank you, as always, for choosing Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast. And until next time, remember to gill and chill, keep listening to Weird Al, and stay cheesy. All right, Ethan, I am so excited to see you this weekend for the New Yorker event.
Oh, me too, Dave. It should be an absolute blast.
You know what? You should come a little early and we can hang out and play pinball and nerd out all about Weird Al.
Oh, that sounds great. I will definitely come early, and I'm going to spend some time with you in New Jersey beforehand.
Great. What time do you think you'll be arriving in New Jersey?
I can't tell yet.
You can tell me. I'm your podcast partner.
No. I mean, I'm just not sure.
Well, can't you take a guess?
Well, not until Friday at the earliest.
You can't take a guess until Friday?
That was Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 207-inch.
What is? That was Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 207-inch.
Who's the guy that thinks he's Weird Al in the corner? Hal? Did you say your name's Hal?